let's talk about one of your hometown team that's not in season yet, but we're moving closer and closer towards the start of that season. It's the Dallas Cowboys. And they have we've gone through the draft. We know what your rookie class looks like, and your rookie class has come into the building at the Star in Frisco and done a little bit of rookie minicamp. And Blake, you sent me this, and it seemed like you were interested in this. Seems like there's already a rookie gaining a little bit of attention out of rookie camp. And it happens to be not your first nor your second round pick.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of good things coming out of rookie minicamp. We heard about Guyton working with Manyweather, the offensive line coach,
which is always a good thing. Yep. Duke Manyweather, OL Masterminds, does a fantastic job working with offensive linemen and getting them to be some of the best in the league.
And if you're wondering, who does he work with? Zach Martin,
yes.
Tyler Smith. Pretty much your entire Cowboys offensive line.
He works with all the Cowboys because he's local, but he works with guys across the league. Yep. I know that Lane Johnson is going to be attending his OL Masterminds, I guess, I don't know what it ultimately, conference or what have you.
Conference. Sounds better than camp.
So, I mean, some of the best in the league work with Duke Manyweather, so that's always a good thing because he's gonna coach him up.
So we've heard good things about him. We've heard about Marshawn Nealon being in there, but I was reading through and I saw Marist Liufau, who was the pick out of Notre Dame, the linebacker, and I believe the 4th round. Little bit of a surprising pick. Some people may have not have, myself included, maybe not have had his name marked there. We had a linebacker, but maybe not Marist's name marked there. But this is what the Landry had to write about. Appearing on the Doomsday podcast with ESPN's writer Ed Warder and Matt Mosley, Zimmer had plenty of positive things to say about Marist. First, he goes, number one, he's brilliant. This is Mike Zimmer talking. Number one, he's brilliant. He catches on really quick. He wants to be so good and so intense that he's almost too much at it right now. The other thing is he's a really good pressure player. I think that having him with Micah Parsons and another pressure player that is a linebacker, or he can move somewhere else and Parsons can move somewhere else, I think those pieces add to confusion for the offense. Plus, he's a really good rusher.
That's super interesting as a statement from your defensive coordinator, Mike Zimmer, because if I was to tell you between your current defensive coordinator and your previous defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, who is likely to bring in another linebacker and have that, like, I want to have that versatility and somebody else that could rush, that could maybe move Micah off a defensive end from time to time, I would not have guessed Mike Zimmer. Like, Mike Zimmer is the dude that you anticipate being a little bit more traditional in the roles, or in what he wants from the roles. But I guess that makes sense with the speed that Liufau seems to have and possess. And I guess it also is always a good thing when you hear that a player picks things up quickly. Now, this is the time of year where you say these types of things, but I'm inclined to believe Zimmer in that way. And that's got to be a great thing, because Zimmer seems to run a system that is not like the easiest to grasp onto. It's one of the reasons why we're happy that Eric Kendrick signed with these Cowboys, because he comes with that level of experience in the system and he can make it maybe come over, or get over just that much easier for this team. But the way that he's catching on, that's a good thing, I imagine. I'm still a little hesitant because all of the, analysts when it comes to draft prospects did not view him as highly when it came to the traits and those types of things. I know that he has that speed and supposedly he can cover fairly well, which that we'll see how that comes along. But it's good, right? And 682 mentions this. Zimmer is not a flatterer. He ain't a flatterer, so that means something. So yeah, that makes me a little bit more excited and maybe assuages some of my, I don't know if fears or doubts is the right word, but concerns with the Liufau pick.
It seems like Marist is going to be kind of playing all over the place. I think you could say maybe the same with Overshown. We haven't seen much of him, but there was talks about him being really good at also rushing the passer. Yeah. This is the guy these two guys are going to be your speedsters. They're going to be guys where they're going to deploy him on the line. They're going to deploy him covering those backs and tight ends out. So,
but does that give you some pause? Because what is the thing that we've talked about with this Cowboys team for the past 2-3 seasons?
Getting in those run lanes.
Stopping the run, right?
You're hoping Eric Kendricks can help.
Sure.
You're hoping that some of your Marshawn Nealon rotating in, an upgraded Mozzie Smith will keep those hands off the second line as much.
I don't know about Marshawn Nealon being like linebacker guy. I understand that that's been something that's brought up, that he has the capability. But I'm like, that dude's an edge rusher.
You want me to be completely honest, Reggie? Nothing that they really could have done this offseason was going to fix it completely. Unless they completely said we are not going to draft or get anybody in free agency or anything on the offense side of the ball, and we go all in on the wall of building a defense, which I think is a smart strategy. We've seen Baltimore do that year after year, where they don't necessarily have all the flashiest skill positions, but they have this wall where you cannot run on them, and they're really good at running the ball. But speaking back to Marist, to put a cap on that, he was 7th in the nation in pressures at the linebacker position with 25 of those, and he was 6th in pass rush grade, and then ranked 3rd on PFF as far as linebackers when it came to rushing the passer. So this is a guy that's really active around the quarterback when he's rushing the passer. I think he's really athletic, really rangy. We'll have to see how far his they talked really highly about his IQ. Hopefully he's the guy that can be around Kendricks, around Overshown, and kind of get traits from both of those and develop into what he needs to be. But if I had to guess, it's probably not a day one, just throw him in there and he'll be fine anywhere. It'll be some trials and tribulations with Marist. But it sounds like Zimmer's happy with where it's trending so far.
So, Blake, you being, the college film study guy you are, then you remember Notre Dame, the little run they went on last year. Marcus Freeman, the head coach of Notre Dame, spoke very highly of Marist. I mean, I guess that's no surprise, him being his head coach. But I think Cowboys fans could kind of rest a little easy if Overshown and Marist do end up being somebody. Those are young guys that you can have. Kendricks is good. He's a veteran presence, but young guys is what you really need in a defense. Yeah,
those are guys that you hopefully can develop in it. And like I was saying to Reggie, I don't think it's going to be a year one jump and these guys are, oh my gosh, this is the best linebacking tandem in the league and it's the next Levante David and Devin White and all that stuff. But hopefully they can transition with the good coaching around them year after year. And you look back 4 years from now and you're like, wow, we got Marist in the 4th round and he's developed into an above average starter. So I would lower expectations. Remember, this guy is a 4th round pick. They didn't exactly put the needle where I'd want it as far as linebacker and it being an issue, but I still think Marist is a good player. It just might take a little bit more time to develop.
That's never look, I'm not saying that that's a bad thing inherently, but obviously that doesn't feel good. And of course, again, this falls on the Cowboys with the framework that they set up this offseason of all in and we think we can compete this year. Again, another player that it's good to hear Zimmer talking good things about him. It's good to know that he is catching on quickly and all of those things. But again, another player, if we're talking about, the development in the future, that's another thing that kind of does not jive with that.
I felt like this whole draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
Other than Cooper Beebe. I would say other than Beebe.
Right. And again, it's another reminder that, hey, man, if you just frame this a little different, it might have gone a little bit different with the way that on the outside we interpret it. But okay, enough of that. The big thing that happened last night was schedule release. Yay, we made telling you a schedule into an event. I think the most eventy, for lack of a better word, the most eventy thing of this event ends up being the content put out around it. Yeah. Are you a guy that likes going and watching all these videos of releases? Like
the Chargers killed it.
They seem to always do that,
year.
don't they?
Chargers murdered it.
I want to say the Chargers were the first ones, like 3 years back, to do the street interview one.
Yes. Oh, no. I think the Titans did the street interview.
Were they the
what
first
the Chargers did? The street interview was last year. But what the Chargers...
I think it was even more than that. I think it was 2 years ago. It might have been last year.
Either way. The street interview was last year.
Titans street interview was last year. And then the popular girl, they brought her back this year to host the street interviewers again.
The thing you're thinking about with the Chargers, 3 years ago, and then they did again 2 years ago, they did a whole anime thing.
They did the anime.
For theirs, and they've taken
killed
a lot
every time.
Yeah, they clearly do a great job. Is there anybody else? Because I'm not gonna lie, within all of the playoffs, I was like, you know what, you can miss me with the schedule release videos. Was there any one of those that like caught your attention, and Kevin, for you as well? Like, were there any ones that you were like, hey, this is pretty good?
I think Atlanta had a good one. They did like a GTA. Or no, they did the NFL Street one. Atlanta did like an NFL Street one.
I might need to check that.
And then the LA Rams did like a GTA where they're like driving in the car and driving through different cities. And that was cool.
Okay.
Other than that, I saw the Cowboys one.
The Cowboys always feel, you know what the Cowboys always feel like to me?
Corporate.
That's the issue.
I mean,
it always feels a little too far from the streets. It feels like you tried a little too hard. Oftentimes,
it felt very corporate, in my opinion.
I wasn't expecting like a masterclass from the Cowboys, but I felt like they did okay. I mean, given the expectations,
it's never that it's bad. Like last year, they did the Yellowstone inspired one. It just always feels like they do too much, and there is too much possible.
You got some good names. You brought in some good people. I feel like they didn't knock it out of the park, but they also didn't do subpar.
And for those that did not see it, obviously you can always go check on the Cowboys' social media platforms. They basically did what I guess was kind of a prank in which they had a whole bunch of Cowboys folks, including Rowdy, sitting in front of an iPhone, and then they FaceTimed randomly other just random people,
quote unquote random,
that popular people that have association with the teams that they would ultimately be playing. If I recall correctly,
what was the best cameo? They had Megatron for Detroit.
Megatron was in there. Chad Ochocinco was in there. Who else was in there? I'm trying to recall.
They had PFT commentator from Pat McAfee for the Commanders. I remember because he's like the only Commanders fan I know. Can't even remember the rest of them.
Yeah. I did a story on it yesterday, so I could probably name all of them. But
well, give me some of them then.
What was the best cameos?
The best cameo, so they did Kelly Clarkson at the end, which not a lot of people caught that one because it was towards the end.
Because it was like 3 minutes long.
Yeah,
all of these are like 3 minutes.
It was a good long bit. RG3 was good. Shane Gillis was pretty good too. Bert Kreischer, they did him, and he was, of course, by Joe Rogan, to no surprise. Mm-hmm. They did a lot of athletes, but I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'd say there was a best, but I did like that they had Post Malone.
Was Chad in his car getting elevated?
I think that was a cigar. He's a big cigar guy.
Yeah, that's right. I was just like, I was not looking all that closely, and again, I watched it one time. Like, this is all me. I was like, wait a minute, is he? I feel like that's not something the Cowboys would typically put on there, but I was like, okay, makes sense that it was a cigar.
So you got to give that pre-call. Hey, we're finna call you for the social media video. Yeah, go ahead and put down. Go and grab the cigar, buddy. I don't got a problem with cigar.
I was like, that's a little wild for the Cowboys, isn't it?
Do you think that has any impact on your season?
What, the video?
Good team morale, good fan morale.
No. What? No.
Fan morale, no.
Well, I mean, the video itself, I don't think that it does much. But what it also does speak to is, like, you probably got a really good social team. And I don't think that the Cowboys have a bad social team. Again, it feels like a solid social team. But it doesn't feel like in this instance or in this venue that they really dominate these.
Is there any correlation to success from the social media in general?
No. There's just, I mean, because
why even do it?
Look at the Chargers.
Because it's fun. Because it's fun. This, like, ostensibly what you were selling to the fans is fun. And this is another avenue for you to get a little bit of fun out there. So shout out to the perpetual winners, the Los Angeles Chargers. In fact, shout out to the winners who are the people who love their team so much that they will do this version of it for their team for free. Because I saw a dude who was a fan of the Saints put out their roster or their schedule via songs. And that was incredible. Go check that out, especially who they used for when the Browns play the Saints, because that was interesting.
You have to link me that.
I will. In fact, I'll tweet it out at Reg Atatula on Twitter if you are inclined to look at that. I also have some other things when it comes to football. Like, all right, schedule release. Let's do this real quick before we go.
Go ahead.
Because we got to get to our friend, the NBA managing editor of The Athletic, Tyler Batiste, to talk more about the NBA, these playoffs. But there is, obviously with the schedule, we get lines now. The betting is all open and available for you. There is one team that is favored to win every one of their games this season, and there are two teams that are underdogs in every single game this season. Can you name any of those teams?
49ers are favored, Panthers and Giants are not. Am I right?
The 49ers is correct. That is the team that is favored in all of their games. Who did you say were the two teams?
Panthers and Giants.
The Panthers are one of the two teams that are underdogs in every one of their 17 games. The Giants are not.
Who's another really bad? The Commanders. They're bad.
It is not the Commanders either.
The Jaguars.
Not the Jags, although they just had a transaction between both of those teams in this offseason.
See, now he's
this is a team that got a quarterback in this draft.
Oh, not the Broncos, not the Steelers.
Patriots.
It is indeed the New England Patriots. Also,
they're bad.
Along with the Panthers.
I forgot they're in the NFL.
One of two NFL teams that are underdogs in all 17 of their games this season.